right, your next witness,
Sally Fayez.
Sally Fayez.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case under penalty of law? Thank you.
Got it, thank you. Hi, all right.
Good afternoon, Ms. Fayez.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to show you some text messages.
Judge, I would object. The witness has not yet been identified.
Could you just have her?
Sorry. Can you please say your name and spell it for the court reporter?
Sure. Sally Fayez, S-A-L-Y-F-A-Y-E-Z.
And if I ask you any questions that don't come out right or you don't understand, just please tell me and I'll repeat the question.
Absolutely.
Now, you're the head of the victim services for Fairfax County, is that
Correct. For the Fairfax County Police Department.
Okay, and in that role, do you fall within their command staff, I guess, map?
I do.
Okay, and so who, can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury of your organization and how it fits within the police department?
Sure. So we are a civilian unit within the police department. We fall under the Major Crimes Bureau. So there's 4 divisions in the Major Crimes Bureau. There's the Violent Crimes Division, the Criminal Investigation Division, the Cyber and Forensic Division, which are all sworn staff, and then the Victim Services Division, which is my division.
And so, and how many people do you have working for you?
17, plus we have interns, but 17 employed.
Okay, and when you, when something like what happened in this case happens, how do you get involved?
So my office is located on the 6th floor, which is where the rest of the violent crime detectives are. So it's not uncommon that something happens and I'm automatically made aware of it, which is what happened that day.
Okay, and so you get a call or you get a text or something like that, and then you roll to wherever you need to be?
No, so the day of the murders, I was already up at headquarters, and so I either received a phone call or a message, I'm not sure, letting me know that Valerie and Juliana were headed to headquarters, and did I have an advocate to sit with them?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Did I have a victim advocate that could go sit with them?
Okay, and did you arrange for that?
Correct.
Okay. Now, at that point, is that victim advocate the victim advocate for them for the remainder of the case, or how does your organization work?
Yes, on homicides, the advocate that responds, usually we respond to a scene, but in this instance, we responded to headquarters, so they would keep the case. There's 2 different families, so I assigned one advocate to one family and another advocate later on to Joe Ryan's family.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that,
Doing
your job?
that, I've been with the department for 23 years, so I was an advocate for 7 years, and I've been the director for 16.
And so, in terms of your interaction with the police department, what's your interaction on a daily basis if you're not otherwise responding to things?
I'm in command meetings, I'm in supervisor meetings, there's daily dialogue about cases. I'm obviously making sure that my unit is squared away and going where they need to go. If there's a call out, we have a text thread of who's going to respond to a call out. It's really just the day-to-day of supervising the division.
And the command staff meetings you're talking about, who's attending those?
The command staff meetings are all majors and above, majors, deputy chiefs, assistant chiefs, and I believe captains.
And are you on a level of a deputy chief or a major? Or?
I would be considered the professional equivalent of a major.
Okay.
So I answer to a deputy chief.
And who during this time frame would you answer to?
To Deputy Chief Bruce at the time.
Okay,
Well, at the time of the murder, it would have been Deputy Chief Reef, Jeff Reef.
okay. And I think timing-wise, Deputy Chief Bruce came in just after this incident, or he was actually a captain?
He was the captain
Okay.
during the incident, yes.
So you had interaction with him when he
The day
wasn't the
of.
deputy chief?
When he was the captain, yes.
Okay, and then when he was deputy chief, you answered to him?
Correct.
Okay. And so the command staff meetings, can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what those are without any specifics?
It's just to ensure that the command team of the Fairfax County Police Department know what is going on within each of the subdivisions. It's really just a conversation of what's happening within the department of all of the rank and file.
Okay. I'm going to show you some text messages and ask you if you can identify them.
Okay.
This is marked as Defense Exhibit 92.
Okay.
Do you have any recollection of that?
From looking at it, but no.
Okay, no, nothing on the page stands out for you?
No. I mean, I see that was from 2024, but otherwise, no.
Okay. Is it common to have jail call recordings in your communications with Deputy Chief Bruce, and who would be the other person? Was that Lieutenant Giasio?
I only see myself and Deputy Chief Bruce on here.
Okay. Would that be a common occurrence, the jail calls from a case?
Yes. I mean, it's not that it's every day, but if you're asking, but is that okay that a text message included a jail call? Yes.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm sure it's okay. I just was curious if that's just something that would be naturally flowing from your position and his position.
Yes.
Okay. And is that something that are you ever involved in listening to jail calls, or just when it's sent to you in this kind of format?
I have in the past, yes.
Okay, and in this case, have you done any listening of jail calls?
No.
Other than this?
No.
Okay, and so, it appears there's a conversation going on. What's the nature of that conversation?
There's several conversations going on. Which one are you referring to?
Actually, let me just, if I can just pause for 1 second. Your Honor, I move this in as Defense Exhibit number 92.
Any objection?
Judge, I think the witness testified that she doesn't recognize it.
All right, you want to lay a foundation?
In terms of your communications with Deputy Chief Bruce, would text messages be a common way that you would communicate?
Absolutely. I think that's the common way to communicate with most people.
And so, other than personal communications, would text messages, including jail calls or other discussions about perhaps defendants, would that be something that you would talk about?
Yes.
Okay, and in this case, is that what that looks like?
Without knowing what that call was, no.
Okay,
I wouldn't
What
know.
about the next statements regarding that?
Again, unfortunately, since it was 2024, there's not a lot of context of what this is for me to know.
And so you're based upon what you know right there, you're saying you're not certain that this was a communication that you had made?
Well, I obviously made it because my name is in there, but I really don't remember that specific text message.
And I think that's
But I'm not
understandable.
saying I did not do it.
That's certainly understandable with text messages. Your Honor, I'd move that in as Defense Exhibit 92.
Judge, I wouldn't object to its admission at this point, but obviously the witness's testimony would be limited by her
Well, I
recollection.
understand that, but as far as admissibility, 92 is an evidence. You want to publish?
Now, down down the page of this message, I'll point to this. What are you saying there, and does that indicate that somebody else is in that message?
Giacchio, Lieutenant Giacchio.
Okay, does that help you remember any of this?
No.
Would it be common for you, Deputy Chief Bruce and Lieutenant Giacchio, be on a three-way text?
Yes, I've been on text messages with deputy chiefs and supervisors in the past.
Okay, and these are the kind of things that you discuss when you're talking to those two?
Well, if I'm reminding Lieutenant Giacchio to ask people to do something, yes.
Okay, and how about talking about things like arresting him will put him over?
Again, I'm sure we have in the past. I just don't know the context of this.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to review what has been marked as Defense Exhibit number 94. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay, and what's the significance of the date in remembering that?
Friday, October 25th,
Yes.
the arrest of Brendan Banfield. Is that what you're asking me?
No, I don't think, well, let me just do this, and then we can talk about it. Your Honor,
Sure.
I'd like to enter this as Defense Exhibit 94.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
94.
It appears it's a conversation with Deputy Chief Bruce, and it's relating to some message that the chief had written.
Yes.
And do you know what the significance of that is?
I believe after Juliana's proper.
Okay. And you knew that to be October 25th, correct?
I only see it at the top of the text message.
But did you know that to be October 25th?
Not that I would have recalled, no.
Okay. And in this text message, you're talking about not taking no for an answer, correct?
Correct.
And what's that relating to?
It appears to say not taking no for an answer, so we're all grabbing a drink next week.
Okay, and do you know the context of that?
Probably just saying we're all going to grab a drink next week.
Okay, but not anything with regard to the case?
No, not that I would read from that.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm going to have you look at what is marked as Defense Exhibit 98. Do you recognize that?
I don't recognize the text message, no.
Okay. Are you involved in that text message?
By looking at it, I can't say yes or no.
Okay, you don't see, okay, I'll withdraw that. Ma'am, I'm going to have you look at what's been identified as Exhibit 99. Do you recognize that?
No, I don't.
Are you not part of that?
It doesn't appear so I would know if I was.
And you don't have any independent memory of it?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'll withdraw that. this is Defendant's Exhibit 106. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Okay. Is that a text that you were involved with?
Yes.
And just for the sake of identifying people, which color were you on that? Gray or blue?
Gray.
Okay, Your Honor, I move that in as Commonwealth's Exhibit 106.
Judge objected to, that was not identified by whoever the other party is in the email.
That's correct. The other witness said they didn't recall, so I have to sustain the objection to 106.
I'm going to ask you to review what has been marked as Defense Exhibit 107. Do you recall that text message? Or can you identify that text message?
Identify it as in,
As a message you sent or as a message you were part of?
my name is up top, so I would say that it was from me.
Okay, do you know who you were communicating with?
Not just by looking at it, no.
Your Honor, I'd move that in as Defense Exhibit 107.
Judge, we do object.
The objection,
Again, it calls for hearsay.
Right.
Ms. Fayez is the person who was the recipient. She cannot identify who the communicator was.
and I believe the other witness said it wasn't him, so I have to sustain the objection to 107.
Very well, Your Honor. Now, ma'am, when you're in the command staff meetings, what kind of role do you have in those meetings?
My role really is to make sure that the victims and the survivors are a part of the conversation.
Okay, and so are you giving updates on things, or how do you engage with the command staff, the police command staff?
I think it really just depends. Are you talking about in this instant, or are you just talking about in general?
Generally.
I think it just depends on what the case is about. Sometimes if we have a case where a case went to court, then we would update the command staff on what happened with the verdict. If there's a case where we believe the family needed some awareness when there comes to a Public Affairs Bureau release, we work directly with our Public Affairs Bureau command staff to make sure that families are notified in a dignified way that something's going to be released.
Now, specifically with regard to this case, were you ever involved in the theory of catfishing?
Yes.
Did you suggest catfishing?
I did not suggest catfishing. I suggested that it be proven that it's not catfishing.
And when in time was that in relation to the killing of Christine Banfield?
I think as time went on, it became apparent that was a possibility. And so are you asking when I started to think it, or?
Well, where did this theory come from? Were you the one who started it?
Did I start the theory? No.
Okay, when did the theory become a discussion topic in context of the time that the...
I think throughout the investigation, depending on what meeting you were in.
How soon after the killing of Christine Banfield did that come up, is what I'm asking.
I think it came up once they were in a hotel and our intel detectives heard her call, ask if she could call her mommy.
I'm sorry,
I think there were things that came out a couple of days after the murder that made people question whether this was a catfish or not.
Okay, so within days after the murder,
Correct.
did you believe that it was a catfish?
I didn't believe that it wasn't one, but it was on the table that it could have been, absolutely.
Okay, and was that something that you discussed in command staff meetings?
I think that evidence and investigative avenues were discussed, but the actual word catfish, no,
Okay.
until later.
so was it discussed in terms of assuming someone's identity, or how would it have been discussed in those meetings before saying catfish?
I think it would have been discussed as, has everything been done to prove one way or the other? Was this a setup or was it not?
And is that something you were bringing to the table, or is this something that?
I think it was a group discussion.
A group discussion? Okay. And so within days, the discussion turned to catfishing? And that's
Not within days, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My view, within probably a few days, was a question of what really went on.
So in your mind, within a few days, catfishing was a possibility?
A possibility, yes.
And did you communicate that possibility to the people that were in the command staff meetings?
I'm sure we all were having the same conversations because I wasn't the only one that thought that.
I mean, is that something that you would oftentimes talk about in these cases?
Yes, well, I don't think we've had a case like this, but I would have a conversation about the case that's being presented, absolutely.
Okay, well, I guess for purposes of your memory, would there be other times? I mean, if this is a pretty big case, and if you had suggested catfishing, that would be memorable.
I think you're confused as to far as what I did. Whether I thought it was or not, it's not that I suggested it. There were meetings where plenty of people above me that believed the same thing. It wasn't just a Sally catfish, if that's what you're asking.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to get an idea of when you started talking about it as catfish. And I think you'd said you thought about it within a few days, but when did it become a viable theory to talk about in the command staff meetings?
I think you're confusing command staff meetings. What meetings are you referring to?
The ones that you just described where you're with command staff.
Those are different meetings than just a normal meeting talking about cases
Yeah,
in the
that's what
Major
I'm
Crimes
asking.
Bureau.
We'll talk about the normal meetings. In the command staff meetings, when was it that you started talking about catfishing?
Well, it was never discussed in an actual command staff meeting because that's the entire command staff, so it wasn't discussed then.
Okay. Were there breakouts?
Move that. I'm sorry.
Were there breakout meetings of the people that were involved? I'm just trying to understand where we're going.
And I'm trying to understand where you're going. I'm sorry, I really don't know what you're asking me.
So the only meetings that we've talked about at this point were command staff meetings that you said that you're involved with as one of the command staff personnel, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what I'm trying to get to is when was it that catfishing was a theory amongst the meetings that you were attending, whether they're command staff or other meetings, whatever meetings you're attending?
Again, I think they're ongoing. There's meetings on that floor between the supervisors and the commanders on that floor. That's a different meeting than a command staff meeting.
It's not so important in my question as to what kind of a meeting it is. What my question's really directed to is when did you start adopting that and talking about this in meetings?
I don't have an actual date for you.
When was it in comparison to the returns on DNA, digital forensics, fingerprints, anything like that?
I think what happened is every single time some piece of evidence came forward that made you question what really happened, then that theory would come back up.
Okay, and do you know the time frame on that?
No, I don't.
Would it be a year?
Again, I think when you have an investigation like this, there's constantly meetings, there's constant conversations about it. So there were times where, hey, could it have been this? Are you looking at this? Versus talking about some other angle.
Okay, would it have been a month after the incident?
Judge asked and answered.
Sustained. And if you could move the microphone a little closer to you, Mr. Carroll, thank you.
So you don't remember when you would have talked about catfishing in a meeting?
The actual word catfish, no, I wouldn't remember that. I can remember when questions would come up about what happened that day.
Okay,
Yes.
and maybe it's my terminology that's a problem. When was it in meetings that you talked about the theory of what happened that day in the meetings?
It wasn't necessarily me starting those meetings saying that. It would be a meeting for an update on the case or what was going on with the case. And so everybody was having that kind of conversation. It was kind of a give and take,
Okay,
which is normal in these kind of situations.
sure. I'm just trying to understand. And so it wasn't, catfishing wasn't a comment, or wasn't a name that it was given, but there were issues regarding the investigation. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. And so, and I understand you're saying it evolves into something. When was it that catfishing was brought up as the,
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained. Next,
you don't know?
next question.
Okay. On the day of the incident, were you involved with Brendan and Christine's daughter being brought to the safe spot?
What do you mean?
To be, it was in a place where an interview took place?
No.
Okay. Were you involved with any sort of discussion about trying to detain my client?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Were you involved on the day of the killing? Were you involved with anyone trying to detain my client at that point?
No.
Were you involved, were you at the headquarters during the?
I was, yes.
And were you in the presence of Juliana or Valerie?
Juliana and Valerie were in one of our waiting areas where we have a victim waiting room with the advocate, not me.
Okay. And did you have any say in any sort of interviews of Juliana or the child while
No.
they were waiting there? Did those occur?
Not that I remember, but I wasn't there for that.
Okay. Was there any concern from you and the people that you work with about my client being released at that time?
Objection calls for speculation. She can speak as to what was in her mind, but asking about others.
You want to rephrase the question?
What, if anything, did you, what, if anything, were you worried about with my client being released that day?
Valerie's safety.
And did you do anything to further that worry that you've just told for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Yes, I had received a call from Captain Bruce and Lieutenant Weeks, who was the homicide supervisor, and they were on the scene, and the concern was
Okay.
that he
Your
would
Honor,
not.
just, that's not responsive to my question, but
You asked her what she did.
when she talked about a phone call.
Okay, all right, wait.
What did you do?
I ended up getting a hotel for everybody, so they would all be in one hotel together.
Okay. And including my client?
Correct,
Okay.
and Juliana.
And at any point in that process, did you discuss detaining my client?
No, I have no authority to ask anyone to detain.
I understand, but you have the ability to discuss.
Objection argumentative.
Do you have the ability to discuss that with the police?
No.
So in terms of where you're concerned, you can't communicate to the police your concerns?
I absolutely can.
Okay, and in this case, did you?
I don't understand the question.
Did you discuss your concerns with the police on the day of the incident
But what concerns are you talking about?
about my client being left out?
Again, I don't understand the question. I want to answer it, I just don't understand it.
Okay, and that's the case with some of my questions, so let me see if I can get it straight. The question of my client being detained or being released, was that a worry for you?
At the time, your client wasn't even in headquarters.
So you didn't have anything to judge that by?
No,
Okay. Did there come a time where you were concerned and you wanted him to be detained?
no.
So there's no communications between you and the police about that?
If I can go back to my conversation with Captain Bruce and Lieutenant Weeks, was where I was going with that.
Well, let's just stay with what we're doing right now. I'm talking about your concern about my client being detained, and I think you've answered that you had no concern at that time, correct?
No, it just wasn't an issue at the time.
Okay, when did it become an issue for you?
It never became an issue.
Okay, so it never really came up in terms of trying to detain him?
No, not
Okay.
that day, no,
Okay,
if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that day.
Okay, no.
Now, do you know how long it was before he was reunited with his daughter Valerie that day?
I don't know. I know when I went to get everybody a hotel, and they were together then.
Okay, and how long after the incident was that?
I wouldn't know the time.
Was it the same day?
It was the same day.
Okay. And were you, so you arranged the hotel so the family could stay outside of the home?
Correct.
And is that normal for your position when there's a crime scene, an active crime scene?
Yes.
Okay. And is it normal for there to be surveillance going on in a hotel like that?
I can't answer that. That's not my wheelhouse.
Okay, so you didn't have anything to do with
No.
having surveillance?
No.
Okay. Court's indulgence. Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I don't have any further questions.
Cross-examination?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Just briefly, can you explain what it was that raised the question of Christine Banfield having been set up?
Repeat the question. I'm sorry.
Sure. What was it? So Mr. Carroll went through with you repeatedly about when did catfishing become a topic of conversation. My question was one you were asked, but we're not able to finish answering. What was it that happened that raised in your mind the question of Christine having been set up?
At the hotel. So from my understanding, we had an intel detective in the lobby of the hotel that we had everybody in, and she had asked Juliana, can I call you mommy now?
When you say she, who are we
I'm
talking
sorry,
about?
Valerie. Said, "Can I-"
Valerie, Christine's daughter?
Yes, said, can I call you mommy now? Juliana, again, I don't remember her answer. She said yes. And then she said, are you going to marry my daddy? And Juliana said, I wish.
Okay. Thank you. I don't
Sure.
have any other questions, Judge.
All right, redirect? Or is this witness subject to recall? No. All right, you're free to go, ma'am. Thank you. Your next witness?
Your Honor, call Detective Miller.
Detective Miller again?
Yes.
All right, Detective Miller? He's already under us.